Today is Tuesday of the 21st week in Ordinary Time. Matthew 23, one of the great morality plays in which Jesus attacks the Pharisees with extraordinary ferocity. This moment's counterpart comes 2 chapters later, with Jesus' reminder that he will separate the sheep from the goats. In both chapters, he warns us to avoid hypocrisy. The word hypocrisy comes from the Greek, meaning to play a part or to pretend. Jesus' criticism of the Pharisees is that they pretend to be righteous. They observe the mechanics of the law, but miss its essence. The law's essence is the love of God communicated actively and constantly through the covenant to human beings who, according to the 2 greatest of the Jewish laws, are to return love to God and share love with other human beings through what Jesus calls judgment, mercy, and fidelity. Notice that Jesus allows for judgment. Of course, we must make wise judgments about ourselves and about the people in the world around us. And yet, he adds, we must be ready to be merciful in our judgments out of fidelity, faithfulness to God in the covenant, while avoiding judgments, criticisms, of people in which we pretend to be that which we are not. Making wise judgments about other people carries the risk of hypocrisy. Wise judgments about ourselves can be even more difficult because we can easily mislead or misrepresent ourselves to ourselves in the face of temptations to behave otherwise. Jeremiah the prophet tells us that the heart is devious above all else. It is perverse. Who can understand it? And yet, I think we must assert that a truly loving God would not create us with no capacity to make wise judgments. So our challenge is to grow to be pure in heart. In other words, to be outside ourselves what we are inside ourselves. To live this way is to live in humility, because humility is the quality of living in the truth, of living truthfully. To live in humility in today's culture that insists on prestige, fame, and wealth in the Washington, New York, Hollywood way of life will require great effort on our part, because prestige, fame, and wealth are so tempting. And prestige, fame, and wealth are as tempting, if not more so, for those of us whose talents and abilities have already brought us some measure of prestige, fame, and wealth, as these qualities are for those who have none. To help us in our search for humility, the pandemic, the economic downturn, our corrupt political culture, and the politicization of the College of Bishops give us points of reference for our own search, with the challenge, of course, to avoid hypocrisy, as we might be tempted to follow false gods. Jesus, present in the power of the Holy Spirit, will always reveal to us the love and goodness of the Father, who is good and loving, so that we can be nourished, guided, and strengthened in our search for authenticity, truthfulness, and holiness.